Welcome to Beyond Top Ranks, where we bring you the most extreme, shocking, and mind-blowing rankings from around the world. Today, we're diving into one of the most awe-inspiring yet terrifying forces of nature, the strongest storms in history. From super typhoons that wiped entire cities off the map to record-breaking hurricanes that stunned meteorologists. These storms are nature's ultimate warning signs. Some are known for their deadly storm surges, others for their unbelievable wind speeds, and some, like Hurricane John, for their sheer endurance. Buckle up because this is going to be an intense ride. 10. Typhoon Haiyan 2013. The monster that shattered the Philippines. Typhoon Haiyan, known locally as Super Typhoon Yolanda, is often described as one of the most destructive and deadly storms in modern history. On November 8, 2013, Haiyan slammed into the Philippines with winds strong enough to flatten entire cities. The worst hit area, Tacloban, was devastated by a storm surge over 6 meters high, sweeping away homes, cars, and thousands of people. The storm's intensity was so extreme that some weather instruments broke while measuring the wind speeds. Even today, parts of the Philippines are still recovering from the destruction. Hurricane Patricia 2015. The strongest hurricane ever measured. Hurricane Patricia holds the record as the strongest hurricane ever recorded in the Western Hemisphere. In October 2015, Patricia formed in the Pacific Ocean and quickly intensified into a superstorm. It shocked meteorologists by strengthening at an unprecedented speed, turning from a tropical storm into a Category 5 hurricane in just 24 hours. At its peak, Patricia had wind speeds stronger than most tornadoes. Fortunately, it weakened just before making landfall, preventing what could have been one of the worst disasters in history. 8. Cyclone Winston 2016. The Southern Hemisphere's strongest cyclone. Cyclone Winston is the strongest cyclone ever recorded in the Southern Hemisphere. On February 20th, 2016, Winston made a direct hit on Fiji, bringing winds strong enough to shred buildings apart. The cyclone flattened entire villages, knocked out power for 80% of the country, and left thousands homeless. After the storm, the Fijian government declared a 60-day state of emergency, and international aid was rushed in to help the country recover. 7. Super Typhoon Tip 1979. The largest storm ever recorded. Super Typhoon Tip wasn't just strong, it was massive. In October 1979, Tip became the largest tropical cyclone ever recorded, stretching over 2,200 kilometers wide, nearly twice the size of Texas. At its peak, Tip covered almost 1/3 of the entire western Pacific Ocean. It also recorded the lowest air pressure in a tropical cyclone ever measured at 870 millibars. 6. The 1900 Galveston Hurricane, the deadliest U.S. hurricane. The 1900 Galveston hurricane is the deadliest natural disaster in U.S. history. This hurricane completely wiped out the city of Galveston, Texas, killing an estimated 8,000 to 12,000 people. With no advanced weather forecasting at the time, residents had no warning. By the time the storm surge hit, it was too late to escape. The entire island of Galveston was submerged underwater, and thousands drowned in their homes. After this disaster, the U.S. built a massive seawall in Galveston, which still exists today. 5. Typhoon Nancy 1961. The fastest winds in a cyclone. Typhoon Nancy is one of the most controversial storms ever recorded. Some reports claim it had wind speeds of 345 kilometers per hour, making it one of the fastest storms ever measured. However, later studies suggest that wind measuring techniques in the 1960s may have overestimated speeds, but whether it truly hit 345 kilometers per hour or not, there's no doubt Nancy was a monstrous storm that caused massive destruction in Japan. 4. Typhoon Goni 2020. The strongest landfalling storm. Typhoon Goni, known as Rolly in the Philippines, made history by hitting land at peak intensity, making it one of the strongest landfalling typhoons ever recorded. The storm destroyed thousands of homes and displaced over 1 million people. Some areas reported roofs flying off before the storm even fully arrived. And wind speeds were so intense that even reinforced buildings suffered severe damage. 3. Super Typhoon Meranti 2016, the strongest storm of the decade. Super Typhoon Meranti is one of the strongest storms of the 21st century. With wind speeds of 315 kilometers per hour, it tore through Taiwan and China, causing massive destruction. Some areas reported wind gusts near 350 kilometers per hour, and entire towns were flattened. The storm was so powerful that concrete power poles were snapped in half, and flooding affected millions of people. 2. Hurricane Allen 1980, the longest-lasting Category 5 hurricane. Hurricane Allen holds the record for the most sustained Category 5 intensity. It remained at peak strength for over 3 days, something almost unheard of in hurricane history. The storm wreaked havoc across the Caribbean, Mexico, and parts of the United States. It caused catastrophic flooding, massive storm surges, and widespread destruction before finally weakening. Hurricane John 1994, the longest-lasting tropical cyclone in history. Hurricane John is one of the most unique storms ever recorded. Not only was it incredibly powerful, it also holds the record for the longest-lasting tropical cyclone in history, surviving for an astonishing 31 days. It formed in the eastern Pacific, crossed into the western Pacific, where it became a typhoon, and then moved back into the eastern Pacific. The storm fluctuated between Category 3 and Category 5 multiple times, refusing to die out. No other storm has traveled as far or lasted as long as Hurricane John. Luckily, because it spent most of its time over open water, didn't cause much destruction, but it remains a legendary storm in meteorological history. These storms remind us of how powerful and unpredictable nature can be. Some broke records for their wind speeds, others for their destruction, and some, like Hurricane John, for their sheer endurance. As climate change continues to warm our oceans, we may see even stronger and more intense storms in the future. Which storm do you think was the most shocking? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to Beyond Top Ranks for more incredible top lists. See you in the next video.